expanding on, we started out with a particular place and season, Iowa in autumn, and now we're going to go into more general nature. And I have a quote from one of my favorite poets, Walt Whitman, to introduce this section. And he says, "I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars. The running blackberry would adorn the parlors of heaven, and a mouse is miracle enough to stagger sextillions of infidels." This one's called The Deer Meadow, and it's in honor of my friend Carolyn Sims, who some of you may have known her. The locals think I'm crazy, reseeding by hand, but no one will lend us a tractor with a 3-point hitch. Machinery's useless anyway, for wild grass seed tangled with bits of stems, leaves, and forb corollas that clog the drill. The week you lie paralyzed on a white bed in a white curtained stall, I pace the pasture you call the deer meadow, pioneering in reverse, shuttling across the once tall grass prairie, scattering the russet seeds in an arc for the coltish wind. Potpourri of wine, bronze, gold, gathered at Big Creek and Red Feather, with names like the popling song of the mockingbird, Tahoka daisy, gold stem grass, drop seed, turkey foot grass, bastard toadflax, dame's rocket, downy sunflower, hoary puccoon, blanket flower, rocket larkspur. No compass plant to guide me through the maze of corridors, no rattlesnake master to vanquish the tumor swallowing your spine. Between bouts of rain, poison ivy thorns, and the lopped off stalks of goldenrod, I stride the scalp-shorn field, dragging 50-pound bags of chopped hay, each handful light as fuzzy hair, clinging to the chaff, blanketing the beds trampled by deer. There is an intimacy in this slow spreading, time to find a meadowlark nest that survived the mower, its single speckled egg unbroken. Space to discover beyond the chemical waste of cornfields and hoglots, below the wreck and rubble, a rhapsody of chocolate hearts pressed into the dark and yielding mud, a duet of the delicate cloven feet of the cinnamon doe tap dancing at dawn. In your deer meadow, the wind-born seed will sprout from its safe, confining shell, raising a tender green alleluia. As I drop the last clinging seed on the bare fallow ground, your fluttering heart emerges from a cradle of wildflowers. And this is, sometimes nature can be very dramatic and a little scary, but in this case, all turns out well. It's called Mother's Day Present. I am wearing a red silk dress when the sky bruises bile green on the stretch between Bentonsport and Keosauqua. If we get in a ditch, I'll muddy my only good dress. I keep driving. "Why are you driving so fast, Mom?" one of the boys asked. I glance sideways without turning my head. A veiled presence sucks black dirt from bare fields, throws up a wall of mud. Our midget lunchbox is pushing 90. A mile south of town, only 100 heartbeats from home. The mud hits. I can't see the road. The roar rocks the horizon, batters the glass. Bouncing up and down in the back seat, the twins shout, "Cyclone ride!" The youngest in front, screaming. I am wrenching the wheel as if I am driving the wind, chanting all the names of Mother and cursing my red silk vanity. sudden silence, gleaming golden light. We are sitting still between the splintered remains of a shed and phone poles shorn like corn stalks, wet wires coiled around rubber tires. Mother's Day present, whispers the stillness. I wind among black serpents shaking. Okay, Susie.
The first poem I'm going to read is called Diana. It's the one that Rustin referred to as being an award-winning poem. Diana, with smell of rain-damp earth, wings of snowy owl, skin of pale velvet, body like the spreading stain of dark desire. She is clothed in tattered mosses. She is the moonlight that guides the wheel and stream of geese, that urges brown trout to bouldered pools, that inspires the flash and pivot of running deer. She is the dance of granular snow on plowed fields, that frees a tuft of gray fur from a blackberry cane, licks the bleached scapula lying in the grass, and hears paw snap twig as a low, dark shadow passes the barn. Disappearing into the hedgerow, face wet and teeth still pink from the kill, she is the breeze that lifts the bit of feather from his whisker and lets it float back to earth. I was inspired to read the next poem, called Prima Materia, last year when I heard about the largest living organism in the world. It's a 2,200-acre fungus in the forest of eastern Oregon, and it's estimated to be between 5,000 and 7,000 years old. Prima Materia. Its subterranean tentacles reach across forests, chemicalized lawns, schoolyards, the whole breathing surface of the earth clad in its damp chemise. Fungal filaments infect trees. White toadstools emerge overnight. Unknowing, all of us have breathed its pregnant spores, given ourselves over to the living landscape of cloud, sap, and rain. Genetically closer to humans than plants, could it be the sprawling, mildewed core of the world, a rank god without wrinkles, fur, or heartbeat? Or perhaps instead this rancid sponge absorbs our sorrows, for centuries swallowing the tears of children, saints, and fools, its occasional pale eyes blessing our fields. So our next theme is going to be the creatures that we cohabitate this earth with, but do not directly speak the languages of, at least most of us don't. Animals toward which people have such a range of emotions depending on the nature of the interaction. The two poems I will read in this category are from when I lived in rural Jefferson County. The first is called Raccoons, which is a poem of reluctant appreciation for the wildness of this much maligned creature. Raccoons. All night they soak their bones in moonlight, chittering by the pond, holding small bundles of fur or skin under water until they're limp. They tear at chicken wire, clawing their way into small lives, leaving only a few feathers and a tube of scat. Near dawn, they follow the cold ripple of a hose back to their den, in an abandoned cellar, littered with clots of mold and broken jars. Sometimes by day I see one sleeping face down on the limb of an oak, paws like tiny starfish, a soft breeze rustling his fur. Or find one in my live trap, covered with mud and defeat, and take him for a drive. when the yellow moon rises and another night is born in the fragrant loins of nightmare. They appear again, dark forms at dusk, humping along the hedgerows, eyes shining with borrowed madness. And my second poem in this category is called Geese. This is something we can all relate to this time of year as the geese travel southward from overhead. Geese. Above Hickory Hill's pond, delirious geese melt out of the sky, speaking in tongues. Their jabber wavers like grass in the wind, and their erratic V wobbles its circumspect calligraphy, crossing the moon. Coal-eyed, bodies oiled smooth by the wind, speak of air, the color of the sea, and myriad miles of stars. The dry hiss of wings pumps night blood. They listen with their bones. My heart thuds when I hear those cries come shimmering out of their mouths, dissonant chords echoing in the blue. Still as a fish, I sit alone listening on a quiet quilt of loam. There.
So far we've mostly been in and around Iowa. So now we're going to switch, and our next theme is travel. And I love this quote from one of the great poets of Japan, Matsuo Basho. Drifting life away on a boat, or meeting age, leading a horse by the mouth. Each day is a journey, and the journey itself home. So, my first poem is, oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be doing creatures. Cancel all that. All right.
Same. Rewind.
Rewind. Okay, my two poems about creatures. Animals do speak to us, although as Susie said, we don't always understand their language, and sometimes their messages can be very surprising. This one is about two birds, so don't get confused. Birds speak. The woodpecker was dead when I drive over him, steering so my wheels won't smash his blood-red head. The wind of my passing lifts him back to life. Late for work, I turn around. Confined to an open box, he tilts one black eye at my peering face, tap dances his sharp black beak, a querulous old man with a cane demanding dinner. I have to work. I have no time to search for grubs, no time to tilt his head back so he won't drown from eye-dropping water down his gullet. Saturday, I drive 30 miles, Thunderbird squawking the whole way, to the bird lady at Morningstar Farm at the end of a long gravel road north of Brighton. A former long-distance runner confined by one of 12 unpredictable symptoms of Lyme disease, the tiny woman splints his wing, cages him outside, hunts for rotten logs all the way to the Skunk River in a wheelchair. Monday, back to work, tilting my eyebrows at preening students, tapping the blackboard, a querulous old woman with a broken song demanding attention. The letter comes before I have time to call her. After his wingman, she writes in a script that looks like bird tracks on snow, our woodpecker is confined to awkward flights. She risks releasing him anyway. Singing loudly, he flies all the way up a hickory tall enough to peer at the white holes tapped by thunderbirds in the blackboard sky. From the top, he coasts to the next shagbark, dipping in the peculiar rhythm of shamans drumming rain. My life has a peculiar rhythm. Wake to clock, drive yellow line to brick building, scratch white marks on blackboard, jump to buzzer. Part 2. The woodpecker was dead when the truck ahead of me blasted over him. Late for work, I turned back anyway. One black eye, the only thing moving on hot blacktop, peers up at my face. I call in sick from the smell of resignation. This time I know where to go, blasting limestone dust all the way to the bird lady. Freed from paralysis and able to speak for the moment, she examines the bird with pink gloves. Mute, he regards her with glazed black eyes. One finger touches the brown stain on his crimson head, the bare keel bone, the revving heart. He's been down a long time, she says. Slowly she stretches a black and white wing, then the other. One leg hangs limp. I'll set this later, after he recovers from shock. The lightness of her voice tells me he's too far gone. 3. I watched from the side of the round oak table, wondering why a starved woodpecker would drag his thin breast onto hot blacktop, to die slowly from sun, to die quickly by truck, or to flag down a woman going the wrong way. Her mute daughter, one of the unpredictable symptoms of Lyme disease, hovers near, tilting her head at the bird in her mother's hands. She loves birds. That's one reason I do this. I know what's wrong by how she looks at the bird. The girl cradles my face in her soft hands, peers through me. She wants me to tell you woodpecker's message. Finding one is rare, but two? When woodpecker comes into your life, follow your own rhythm. I fly over clouds of chalky dust, the wind of my passing lifting me back to life. The next one is short. Coyote's last laugh. The coyote on the shoulder sprawled all the long winter, buried by snow, untouched by crows, dragged there by the killer to look like roadkill, not the crippling shot from the road as I watched helpless. Hunter turned hunted, dragging hind legs through the throat-deep snow, the farmer running to shoot again, close up. At first, I want to drag the carcass out of sight, but she is planted firm as an embryo until the breaking of waters. Day after day, I feel her stiff legs, ribs, jawbone where the fur is pulling back, revealing an undisturbed grin. I sprinkle her matted coat with cornmeal from a yellow cloth, Coyote the trickster who laughs the sun up. As the light grows longer, little sister grows lighter. I carry her through the corn milk moon, laughing. Okay, now we go to travel. You've already heard my bit about that. So, the first poem is from my first trip really away from my family, and this was to Senegal in Africa. This is called Wall-Off Drums. Savannah night pummels my chest, pricking ivory crescents through my soaked shirt. I pant under a mango moon, sliding down the rumpled folds of white netting, soft churrings from dark corners, pulse throbs, muffled drums from the Wall-Off village across the road. Inside my white cocoon, a heat-seeking torpedo whines. Drums vibrate bones. Parting the veil, I creep into crumpled jeans, emerge a lunar moth brushing other pale forms. We whisper down the dusty path, drawn by a lantern haloing a circle of benches, boys on one side, girls on the other. We huddle between ebony silhouettes, ivory teeth. 4 drummers clasp hourglass djembes between their thighs, palms stroking taut skins. Drums pump blood. A boy in orange shirt, green pants gyrates in. Drums leap to canter. The bent figure flails like a ruffed grouse, booming, stomping. Abruptly stops, fades back. Drums sigh. Bodies swaying, hands clapping, my hands. A girl swathed in red tiebas, gold-bangled ears, slow steps in, hips grinding. A boy tosses his shoe behind her, grinning. His friends howl, all eyes, even mine, on her indolent rump. Drums gallop, bare feet blur, arms windmill. Her loose chieba slips down over purple breasts, bobbing. Whirling, she plunges like a horse striking a snake, feet stamping. Suddenly halts, runs back, giggling. Drums palpitate my heart. Black faces burn toward me, bench bouncing. Feka, feka, dance, dance, they urge. A hand pulls me in. Drums quicken my limbs. I am the drums, the dust, the sweat. I am the white night spawning. And the second one is from a trip to India. Maybe some of you have been here. Called God's Gate. You can still see the stone footprint at Haridwar, where Lord Vishnu unplugged Ganga's amniotic waters, welling up from Shivling Peak onto dry, dung plains. Every day before dawn and again after dusk, throngs descend on Har Ki Peri Ghat to bathe in the wash-away waters. I am standing on slime-slick marble steps, disappearing into dark river, icy water lapping my ankles. Naked for a tourist, swaddled in 6 yards of thin cotton, money belt, camera, sandals left behind. Red, green, gold saris blossom around me. I slip under the slipping water, tethered by a thick black chain floating in Ganga's womb. Again I dip, and again a white lotus stemmed by iron in the swelling current, baptized more thoroughly than the choking heartbeat in the echoing tank behind the altar. The sun kindles Ganga's ripples, a bell rings, calling the crowd closer. 9 barefoot pundits planted along the lip of the river hold aloft tiered ghee lamps flaming the purple sky, dipping to caress the purling waters. Raucous bhajans pour from loudspeakers, swelled by the chorus echoing from both banks. Conchas cut through air clogged with burning butter, sandalwood smoke, braided frangipani. I am helping a white-haired woman waddle down the slippery steps, holding her soft elbow while she stoops, splashing water over her head, bobbing her wispy bun. She rises to my face, palms pressed together. Behind water-spotted glasses, a pair of lotus blossoms. I am lighting the cotton wick in a clay thumbprint bedded in rose petals, offering the little leaf boat to the water. My single flame joins a flock of yellow lamps drifting beyond the bridge. I am shedding water on translucent marble, light under my wet wrap.